hurts. You know what, guys? Some plants are really dangerous, even though they look pretty and fun to play with. Make sure yourself, yeah? So hi everybody, this is Q Club and you are watching Esther Shimumremi. I am your host for today. So remember, we're still amongst this pandemic, which is coronavirus. Be sure to mask up, sanitize your hands, and also don't play with pointy plants because they might sting you and it hurts a lot. So guys, today it's all about creativity. I mean, well, yeah, we're always about creativity, but today is extra special because we'll be talking about poetry. So poetry is not really known by a lot of people because people think, nyama kulu, siwa mind now lazy, but actually poetry depends with how you present it or how you do it. So poetry is a form of literature that expresses feelings, ideas, emotions. You can even use poetry to tell a story. Yeah, so as I said, it's a form of literature that expresses emotions, feelings, ideas. You can also tell your story. And this type of this thing called poetry I'm talking about deals with lines, verses, words, stanzas. Yeah, stanzas is spelled as S-T-A-N-Z-A-S, for those of you who don't know what stanzas are. So actually poetry is a form, my definition, not according to anybody, but my definition. For me, I feel as if poetry is it's simply a way that you can escape from whatever you're feeling or whatever you want to express. For me, poetry deals more with emotions than, let's say, laws or rules of writing. So for me, I'm a poet, for those of you who didn't know. Yeah, I write poems. So yeah, I'm a poet. So the way I use my poetry, it's simply a way of expressing emotions. It can be because I'm angry, I'm sad about something. It also can be because I'm happy or excited about something. So whatever it is that I feel, I write. Like, I'm a writer, I'm a poet at the same time. I'm a writer, I'm also a poet. I'm both. So not all writers are poets and not all poets are writers. So as I said, not all poets are writers. Poetry is in two forms. It can be written or spoken. So we have got spoken poetry, we also have got written poetry. Spoken poetry is simply, have you ever been to an event whereby they call someone on stage that is about to do a poem, then muntabueche na vi-hype, na vi-vibe, abueche pa microphone ambo kamba wambira bwido. Yeah, so yeah, that's called spoken poetry. This is where a performer or a poet comes on stage, to present his poem in an artistic way. And this kind of performances will arouse your emotions. For example, if the person will be talking about food, the way that person will be talking about food, because poetry, the amount of poetry is arousing emotions and also expressing them. So aside from spoken, I also mentioned written. This is a part, or this is a form of poetry whereby writers just write words, verses, lines, and these words can actually rhyme. If you want them to, they can actually rhyme and they, give you a rhythm of how things are going. For example, let me give you an example of, here, take a listen to this. Now listen to this. I saw my cat in our house. It sat on a mat. That rhymes, right? You can also actually, when you're at home or maybe you have free time, make sure you think about rhyming words and try to make up a poem just for yourself. For me, I saw my cat in the house. It sat on the mat. That rhymes, and it creates a rhythm for you guys. You can actually, create a song from it, or even a beat if you want to. So we have a lot of poetry artists in Zambia, but these poetry artists are not really they are not known that much because not everybody appreciates poetry in Zambia. So for these poetry artists, I know some, and some actually my friends. I learn from them, and their performance is actually amazing. Like, they are breathtaking. For example, if somebody's trying to express their anger, you out of nowhere, actually, you start feeling angry. You don't know what the person was angry about, but now I am Bokadi Pesujab. So these friends have taught me a lot, and actually, aside from them, for me learning from them, I've actually done my research about poetry. I've watched a lot of videos, how people have, come up with certain poems, creative poems, and you can also do that as well. So these poetry artists in Zambia, one of them is Musenge. He owns Color Culture. Like, his poetry is amazing, yo. Woo! Like, you should check him out on Facebook. His page is Messenger. Make sure to check him out on Facebook. I mean, his poetry is amazing, so breathtaking. We also have some poets, Kisha Chilufya. Okay, she mainly talks about mental health. So her poetry deals with mental health, gender-based violence, and we also have groups here in Zambia that, focus on poetry, like, art and poetry. So these groups, we've got Word Smash Poetry, we've got Bittersweet Poetry. And for those of you who've heard this for the first time, be sure to check them out and get to watch their poems. They're really, really, really amazing. So before I actually, give you a surprise, I have a surprise for you guys. But before I actually get to that, let's look at our science facts for today.
That was a lot of leaves.
Yeah.
Let's go eat.
Good idea. Oh, whoa!
That huge gust came out of nowhere.
How come wind is so powerful? You can't even see it.
Bad breath is invisible too, but it's pretty powerful.
Oh, gross.
Our breath and the wind are made up of the same thing. Air molecules invisibly floating in space. That's what gives wind its mass or substance.
And when it's windy, all those molecules are moving?
Like a herd. Sometimes they float gently in a breeze, and other times, like in a hurricane, they're blasted along at hundreds of miles an hour.
But what makes the wind strong or weak?
Everything from a breeze to a hurricane blast is caused by air pressure. That's the force with which air molecules push against us and everything around us. When the air pressure changes, so does the strength of the wind.
What makes air pressure change?
The height above sea level, the temperature, and the amount of water vapor in the air. Those three things make air more or less dense. When air gets colder and closer to sea level, it gets denser. That means the air molecules are closer together, so there's more air pressure.
So when air gets warmer and higher, there's less air pressure?
Right. The air molecules are farther apart, or less dense.
Hey, it's like the leaves we picked up. When they're together, they're heavy and hard to lift. But scattered around, they're lighter.
Yeah. So it makes sense that dense air sinks and less dense air rises. The pattern of rising and falling air is called a convection cell.
Convection cell?
Check it out. Say we're at the beach. In a convection cell, the air over the sea cools and sinks. That's a downdraft. At the same time, the air over the land gets warmer and rises. That's an updraft. The cool, high-pressure air moves towards the land and heats up, replacing the warm air. And the warm, low-pressure air moves out to sea and cools, replacing the cool air. The movements of the air cause wind. All this air movement is affected by one more thing.
Lay it on me.
The Earth's rotation. As the Earth spins, it pulls the wind and makes it travel on a slightly curved path, from west to east, or east to west. It's called the Coriolis effect. Anyways, there are all kinds of winds. They even have names.
Yeah, like a breeze and a gust and...
Well, no. Like polar easterlies, prevailing westerlies, and trade winds.
Huh?
Polar easterlies are winds that come in from the poles and blow east to west. Prevailing westerlies are warmer winds blowing in the middle latitudes, and trade winds are near the equator.
So that gust of wind that blew through and ruined our hard work, was that a prevailing westerly since we live in the middle latitudes?
It probably was.
This wind thing is pretty fierce. I never realized wind was caused by changes in air pressure, or that air pressure is affected by three things: temperature, height above sea level, and amount of water vapor in the air. And the convection cell stuff? Hot air rising, cool air sinking? It's wild. But it's not as wild as the Coriolis effect. That's the spinning of the Earth that makes winds curve. Wind is invisible, but so powerful.
Wow, Sam, I'm blown away.
Well, it was quite a whirlwind of information.
Science, 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 science. I was actually trying to come up with a science poem, and for those of you who are wondering, Esther, can you do that with science? Yes, you can. Poetry is wide like that. So even you can actually do a science poem for your classmates or for your teacher. It's actually possible. For example, if you want to talk about photosynthesis, you can talk about how photosynthesis, how the process photosynthesis is made, and how, whatever is involved in there, you can do it in an artistic and very creative way, because poetry will give you that hype or that vibe of just creating something beautiful and nice. And aside from, you making your classmates feel nice, you can also, tell them, you can actually make them understand or learn whatever the teacher was trying to teach about photosynthesis. So yeah, it's actually a beautiful form of expression, because aside from music, you get to use words to tell your viewers or your listeners or whoever it is that's your audience how you're feeling, what you think is your idea. If you want to tell a story, you can actually use poetry. And as I said, I have a surprise for you guys, but something in my mind actually told me that don't do it now, like do it at the end of the show. So please be sure to stay glued to us, because if you really want to know this surprise that I have for you, you have to make sure you stay glued to us. Don't take the remote and change the channel. No, don't do that. Just sit, relax, and enjoy our animal facts for now.
Armadillos are the only mammals whose body is covered with hard shell. Only one armadillo species, 9-banded armadillo, lives in North America. Other 19 types live in South America. They inhabit grasslands, rainforests, and semi-arid areas. Most armadillo species are threatened because of their habitat loss and hunting. Armadillos vary in size, from 5 to 59 inches in length to 3 to 120 pounds in weight. Armadillos can be pinkish, dark brown, black, red, gray, or yellowish in color. Their whole body, head, back, legs, and tail is covered with bony plates. Only 3-banded armadillo can curl into the ball to protect itself from predators. Other armadillos run or dig a hole when they need to escape from predators. Their legs and long claws are perfectly adapted for digging. They can dig and create a network of tunnels underground. They sleep 16 to 18 hours per day in their burrows. Armadillos also dig ground to find their favorite food, such as insects. Besides this, they like to eat small mammals, like baby birds, eggs, carrion, roots, and fruit. Like anteaters, they have long sticky tongue that works perfectly when they hunt ants and termites. They eat fire ants too. They have poor eyesight and use well-developed sense of smell to find their prey. Armadillos are great swimmers. They can hold their breath for 6 minutes when they dive. They are also excellent climbers. They climb over the fence in the case they can't dig underneath it. Reproduction of armadillos is very unique. Although mating season takes place in July, females become pregnant in November. This is called delayed implantation. Female can postpone her pregnancy until environmental conditions become satisfying. From one egg, 4 identical armadillos will be born. They are called quadruplets. Baby armadillo is born without bony plates. This takes a few weeks for soft skin to turn into hard armor. Armadillos live 4 to 7 years in the wild and 12 to 15 years in captivity. I hope you enjoyed our armadillo facts for today. Such a wonderful animal. Bye-bye.
Hip hip hooray! So thank you guys for staying tuned to this program, because as I said, I have a surprise for you guys, and I'm sure you guys stayed glued. Thank you for sticking up with me. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best. So as I said, I have a surprise for you guys, and this surprise is actually a poem I wrote in 2018. Yeah, 2018. I remember in December 2018, I think. So it's been 2 years? 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Yeah. So it's been 2 years since I wrote this poem. So if you feel as if there's a little bit correction you want to make, feel free and inbox us. I'll be, I'll be free to, make some corrections. But this poem mainly talks about a very important topic here in Zambia, and I feel as if this topic is actually still being debated on, whether they should agree or disagree. It's still, people still think it's good, others still think it's bad. But yeah, so I put my thoughts about this topic in this poem, and it's actually very, very long. So yeah, so as I am about to present this surprise to you, make sure you tune in ka volume pangono, umvereko vendo kamba. There are certain words in this poem that are a bit fancy or a bit big. So the poem I'm about to recite for you guys is entitled "They Thought Abortion Was the Solution." Yeah, it's quite a long title, but it's worth it. So "They Thought Abortion Was the Solution" is the poem I'm about to recite to you guys. And of course, I'll need this phone for me to read it out because it's quite long, guys. Like, I wrote it in 2018. And actually, I'm actually proud of myself that I still remember it because anyway, something from 2018 to 2021. Anyway, make sure you enjoy. Actually, I hope you enjoy this piece, and I hope you get to think about the positive effects or the negative effects, or how you think you can help society after reading this poem. And if you have a friend who might be going with the same poem I'm about to recite you guys, make sure you advise them to do the right thing, the correct thing, because their lives is at stake. Like, abortion is a very serious thing to do. Yeah, so here is "They Thought Abortion Was the Solution." They thought abortion was the solution. Practice makes perfect, they say. Misled by their bodies, they tried foreplay. A single touch led to mindless actions. Actions that made way for fertilization, or in the name of body satisfaction. Whatever happened to sex before marriage is a sin. Something that someone on Facebook taught them, whom they left unseen. But never mind. Let's leave all that. Let's open up this neglected book called Virgin Power, Virgin Pride. Something that their so-called youth denied. Are you certain that you'll be her groom and her your bride? Because she's now pregnant. That you can't hide. The fact that she conceived left them restless. It left them confused. They had the Lord's temple physically and spiritually abused. So eager for experience, their parents advised, they refused, they did it at the wrong time, their bodies they misused. They thought abortion was a solution. With no one's advice but themselves, they came up with the conception they saw in books from their shelves. Abortion. They thought abortion was a solution. And so it became their conclusion, it became their assumption. They thought abortion was a solution. Little did they know that it brought horrifying destruction, all due to her own complication. They thought abortion was a solution. With regret in her heart, tears in her eyes, she took her last breath. Leaving him restless, she embraced death, all because she never wanted to give birth. They thought abortion was a solution. It was their mistake, but choosing its life, the fetuses paid the price. He's now left with a guilt, that feeling that's not so nice. They thought abortion was a solution. They deprived an innocent being its life. They killed their own flesh and blood. They thought abortion was a solution. They thought it was like a game. Their hopes and dreams crumbled down in one terrific flame. They thought abortion was a solution. Was the fetus's life a hindrance as they claim? Death could have been its name. They thought abortion was a solution. They thought abortion was a solution. So that's the surprise I had for you guys. That's a poem. They thought abortion was a solution. And I feel as if abortion should be, the side effects of abortion should be, talked about, a lot of time, because these girls, or, girls my age that get pregnant and run to abortion, people think it's safe, but it actually has side effects. A person might die, guys. So be sure to educate people about abortion if you know some of the side effects. So that was my poem, and you guys should actually feel special because That's actually my first time reciting a poem to anybody. That's my first time reciting a poem to literally anyone. Not even my siblings have heard me recite a poem before. So guys, feel special because you guys are special, yeah? So hope you enjoy the poem. Hope you've picked one or two things that you can tell your friend or maybe share. But for those of you who want this writing, this poem in writing, you will see it on our Facebook page. I'll be sure to post it very soon so that if you see it, make sure to share, give it a like, comment if you want to, and be sure to share it with your family or your friends. Who knows, maybe somebody might be helped out there. So that's all we had for you guys today. And for me, Esther, it's bye-bye, and make sure to write a poem about anything and send it to our Facebook page, Risky Club Zambia. I'm going. Bye.